with that, and talking about the light that the vaccine will bring, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Chan, who's working day and night to make sure we have a plan in Rhode Island to get the vaccine out safely and quickly and fairly to the people of Rhode Island.
So thank you for those updates, Governor. Good afternoon. My name is Philip Chan. I'm an infectious disease doc here at the Rhode Island Department of Health. I am absolutely thrilled to be here today to talk about the COVID vaccine. This, to me, is really the light at the end of the tunnel. This is personally what gives me hope. As the Governor mentioned, it's been a long year, long 2020. But this, to me, is really the beginning of the end, and I'm thrilled to give you an update today about the COVID vaccine. So to step back for a moment, I want to share with you the 4 guiding principles that the Department of Health has had in thinking about the COVID vaccine. And I want to really emphasize, right, that we've been working on this for months, led by Alicia Mahalakas and Tricia Washburn, the co-leads at our Rhode Island Department of Health vaccine team. So we've been planning for months. This isn't something that's just been thrown together in the last week. Our guiding principles are this. First and foremost is safety. And I want to really emphasize that. The state is absolutely committed to ensuring that any vaccine is safe and effective before giving it to a single Rhode Islander. And I really mean that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Second, we want to minimize disease, which means that we want the vaccine to prevent as many hospitalizations and deaths as possible. We know that our hospital systems are really overloaded and our healthcare workers really pushed to the brink during the current second peak here. Third, we're working on and want to develop an effective system to distribute the vaccine. That's something, again, that has been on progress for months. And finally, access. And by that, we mean that every person in every neighborhood in Rhode Island needs to have access to the vaccine. We're very aware that things like transportation, housing, access to health care, all those social determinants of health can affect ability to access the vaccine, and we're actively working to make sure that every single person in Rhode Island can access the vaccine. I listed safety as our #1 priority because it allows really for all the other priorities that follow. Only when we have a safe vaccine can we ensure fairness and equity in distributing the vaccine. Only when we have a safe vaccine can we think about how to most efficiently distribute the vaccine to prevent as many hospitalizations and deaths as possible. So these vaccines are being developed quickly, and people have raised concerns about that, but we have made a commitment from day one to ensure that they're safe. And I want to reassure everyone that this is a long-standing process to evaluate the safety of these vaccines at all levels, and it's being followed to the letter. Importantly today, and this is an important day in the development of vaccines, is that the FDA is meeting to review the safety data on the Pfizer vaccine, and we'll be meeting a week from today to talk about the Moderna vaccine. And the purpose of these meetings is to whether or not they will grant an emergency use authorization, an EUA, for the vaccine. And I want to clarify a little bit this process because it can be a little bit complicated. So when the FDA is reviewing these vaccines, they essentially have a team of scientists, of doctors, of statisticians who come together and they scrutinize tens of thousands of pages of technical data for weeks, which is why it takes so long and why it's not something that can be done in a day or two. And they're really looking at vaccine effectiveness, importantly safety, potential side effects, and the manufacturing process in general. And when they look at side effects, they're specifically looking for anything that's unexpected. And while we're going to hear more from the FDA today, a little bit later today, what we do know is that tens of thousands of people have been vaccinated with both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine to date. And we're not seeing anything unexpected. And I really want to emphasize that. There's a percentage of people that are experiencing soreness at the injection site. They're experiencing a little bit of fatigue, body aches, etc. These are normal reactions after any vaccine. I will say, though, it does appear that we are seeing these reactions, specifically in these 2 vaccines, at a little bit of a higher rate. And so people have mentioned that, and it's something that the data is showing. However, these reactions are what demonstrate that the vaccine is working, right? It shows that your immune system is ramping up, that you are having a reaction, and that your body is making antibodies, which eventually are going to fight COVID-19 should you ever be infected. So this is normal and expected, and albeit at a higher rate than some of these other vaccines. Something else that's important to note is that the FDA doesn't look at summaries from the vaccine manufacturers. They really analyze the raw data. So as the group comes together and talks about this, they're really analyzing, again, tens of thousands of individual level patients that got this vaccine, which is why it takes a while. The FDA will then make a decision on whether or not to follow their advice. And in addition, I just want to really emphasize this in terms of safety. There's several overlapping safety systems. So even once the FDA approves it, they're in a place to monitor for any unexpected health reactions or side effects associated with the vaccine. And so there's several systems to make this happen. One of the most accessible ones, I think, is an app actually put out by the CDC called vSafe. And so that's available online. And anyone, doctor, patient, anyone, can report a side effect through that system to notify the CDC. And this is something we're all going to be watching closely from the national level, the state level, individual level, et cetera, to make sure that this vaccine is really safe once it comes to market. We have never had a vaccine that has been or will be more closely monitored than the COVID-19 vaccine. And I think all of us can see there's basically tens of thousands of news articles every day looking at this. So things are being scrutinized very carefully with this vaccine, which should be reassuring. In terms of timing, one thing I want to note is that this authorization from the FDA today, if and when they give it, will not be a green light for Rhode Island or any state right away. There's going to be a secondary process called the ACIP, the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, that's going to meet this weekend to make recommendations on how the vaccine should be used. And that's an important note. The FDA is going to recommend whether or not the vaccine can be moved forward. The ACIP is going to give us guidance on how it will be used. And so here in Rhode Island, we are going to look at that data in conjunction with the ACIP recommendations to really make a final recommendation for all Rhode Islanders. And of course, we're going to take all, if not most of that into account when we do so. So our Rhode Island COVID-19 vaccine subcommittee will hold their own meeting within 48 hours after the ACIP meeting is held to weigh in on all these findings, which will be publicly available for everyone to review. And they've been tracking these trials for months and have been watching closely. So if the FDA grants EUA status to the vaccine, and if the COVID-19 vaccine subcommittee feels like the safety review was sound, we expect people could be vaccinated in Rhode Island as soon as next week. So let me say that again. People could be receiving vaccine here in Rhode Island as soon as next week. That is incredibly exciting to me. If offered, I would be the first person at the door to get this. So again, this to me is really the beginning of the end of the pandemic. It's something we've been waiting for. I think it's really that bright light, piece of good news, I think, with all the challenges that have been going on here. So we've been ready for that here at the state, the Department of Health. We've been planning our vaccination phases using guidance from national organizations and our vaccine subcommittee. I'll ask if we can put that slide up on the screen, please. So as you can see, in our current plans, high-risk healthcare workers, such as those in hospitals, long-term care facility residents, and first responders will be the first people to be vaccinated in Phase 1A. Those are the people that we feel are most at risk and can benefit most from the vaccine. Our hospital workers will be vaccinated at hospitals. We've been working closely with our hospital systems here in Rhode Island. Long-term care facility residents and staff will be vaccinated at their facilities through a partnership we have established with CVS and Walgreens. And those logistics are being worked out as we speak. Other Phase 1A people, such as first responders, will be vaccinated through 5 regional clinics that will be held throughout Rhode Island. And during the first few weeks, we anticipate that between 10,000 to 20,000 doses per week will be administered. After that, we expect that we'll be receiving roughly 32,000 doses of the vaccine each week, and that breaks down to 8,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, 8,000 second doses of the Pfizer vaccine, 8,000 first doses of the Moderna vaccine, and 8,000 second doses of the Moderna vaccine. And by second doses, what I mean is that both of these vaccines, both the Pfizer and the Moderna, are 2 shots, both 3 to 4 weeks apart. And so we have to reserve some of that supply, of course, for the second dose in people that got the first dose. As the vaccine comes into the state, we will eventually be able to open vaccine up to additional groups, and these include Phases 1B, Phase 2, Phase 3, and then finally everyone else in Phase 4. People in Phase 1B are likely to include, will include people with more than one significant health condition, so people that are most at risk from complications, hospitalizations, and deaths, and older adults in other congregate care or more crowded settings. Phase 2 is going to include all older adults not yet vaccinated, K-12 teachers, school staff, child care workers, critical workers in high-risk settings, people with more moderate health conditions, and people in homeless shelters and group homes, and incarcerated or detained people and staff in those settings. So those are all groups that we believe are at higher risk of COVID-19 and associated complications. Phase 3 is going to be for young adults, children, workers in critical industries. An example of critical industries, for example, is the food system people who work in grocery stores, and they are planning on being eligible for the vaccine. And then finally, in Phase 4, everyone else who has not received the vaccine yet will be eligible. While these dates are subject to change, and I just want to encourage people to be flexible and patient as we roll this out, we do anticipate Phase 1 vaccination between December and February. So it's right upon us. So Phase 1 vaccination between December and February. Phase 2, we anticipate vaccination between February and April, and Phase 3 vaccination between April and June. So good news, by the summer we anticipate that the majority of Phase 1 through 3 should be vaccinated here in the state of Rhode Island. So again, really fantastic news. I do want to temper expectations to say is that there are many variables that can affect this. Certainly this whole pandemic has been a challenge from multiple standpoints, testing, the governor mentioned, PPE, so many other things, etc. But we are trying to work as fast as we can to get the vaccine out to people. Before passing things along to Dr. Alexander Scott, I do want to make a couple last points. One is that the state will be distributing vaccine to healthcare organizations and not to healthcare providers. The state itself will not be administering the vaccine to people. And this is a little bit of a different model compared to testing, where the state is doing a lot of testing and doing it themselves. Something else I want to share at this time is the amount of vaccine coming into Rhode Island and the timing of shipments are subject to change. So I did mention this number of 32,000. So this was based on the fact that we here in Rhode Island are roughly 1/300th of the U.S. population. We've been told by the federal government that we can expect 1/300th of the vaccine allocated for the country. And so that's where the number of the 32,000 comes from. However, again, just to temper expectations, these figures are projections and they could change. That means we're all going to have to be, again, a little bit patient and flexible as we get there. But I do promise that we will get there. Again, this is super exciting. And finally, I just want to give one shout out to my healthcare worker colleagues and friends, my community workers. I just want to say, I know we're in the second peak here. I know that things are crazy. They're crazy for all of us, but hang in there. This to me is a piece of good news and really, again, the light at the end of the tunnel for me.